Hello, everyone. Welcome. I need everyone to do me a favor for a second here. What you need to do is stand up. Can I get everyone to stand up in here? This is going to really help. If you can just stand up. It's going to be stretching your legs here. Okay, my name is Dixon from IMAGINiT Technologies. We provide all kinds of services in terms of training and resource analysis, all that kind of fun. What we're here today is with Jasper Latwell from Adamson Architects, and we're bringing a new topic to the surroundings here. We're done with the whole BIM topic now, and what I mean by that is BIM has been out for almost 15 years. We should be getting good at it by now, but we can get better. So the reason why I asked all of you to stand up is because that one act of a single person getting everyone up in the room to stand up is an efficiency act. So instead of me going around table to table and asking each individual group of you to stand up, it's not a very efficient workflow. That's the exact same workflow that we're using in any of our drafting techniques. We're drawing a wall in, one wall at a time. And we're going through room by room and placing in items. We're going in floor by floor and doing things one by one. Is that being efficient? No, not really. So we're going to have that talk today about how we can take the workflows we have and really add some efficiency to that. So sit down, give yourself applause. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay, so in terms of efficiency, what we're talking about today is Dynamo Studio. Dynamo Studio for Revit. It's an application of visual programming software that allows us the ability not to have to wait for a new release of Revit to come out to create commands. We can create all of our own commands, we can sort out projects, we can do all kinds of things to make our processes faster, and we can do it right inside of our own office. So if we're sitting there going, well, it'd be really nice to place a few pieces of text all over my project really fast, but I don't have time, so I'm just going to go floor by floor and do it one by one. Well, we don't have to do that anymore. We can place a couple blocks on a screen and have it place that thing instantly for us. So what is Dynamo Studio? It's a visual programming software where we connect a bunch of wires and blocks to use the Revit API system to do stuff for us, because we shouldn't be doing that anymore. Okay, so Dynamo gives companies who are utilizing BIM the ability to customize their workflows and exponentially increase their productivity. So, what's your name over here, just at the table here? Glasses. Juan? Okay, so you wore pants today. That's a good solution, yeah, right? But what happens if I'm picking my wardrobe in the morning and the day before I would like to go into a program and have it sort out by color, or what I'm doing that day, or what I'm sorting out for the next week, and have my closet do all that for me so that in the morning I can sleep in an extra 15 minutes. I don't need to worry about that. That's the same thing that we're going to be getting across with this presentation. So we really want to take that, those redundant tasks that really take up most of our time, throw them out the window, and create more time for coffee and martinis. So let's take a look at some examples. Now I talk about Dynamo Studio for Revit. Well, let's look at examples of this. Now, this little framework that we have in the front of the building here, in current workflows, we're manually modeling or drafting this in a 2D atmosphere. What if I could put a rule set in there that said that I want to place all these items along certain points, and if that building stretches, I want it to repopulate the entire facade. I want it to be able to just move a slider back and forth so I can change the widths and depths of that facade itself, and change color according to its sun location, or be able to transfer this item to different sides according to the density of the surroundings. Like, all of these are logic rules. Now, the reason why I bring this up is because there was a point from the last presentation that Kathy provided, or one of the previous presentations, about manufacturing being ahead of the curve. Manufacturing, they've been using logic and visual programming for almost 20, 30 years. That's why when you see semi-automation in plants like Toyota and et cetera, the reason why they're efficient and they're plugging those cars going through an assembly line is because they're taking this logic and applying it to their scenarios. So the architectural MEP world, the structural world, we're a little bit behind. So let's take a look at a couple more examples here. So for the MEP world, what if we were able to visualize clashes before they even happened? We can build in 3D clearances into Revit to show where they can connect with certain items. We could tell those clearances on those items where they're interacting with other objects. We don't even need Navisworks. We can do it right inside of Revit. Because we could tell the clash, if it bumps into something, move it over, or move it out of that clash zone ahead of time. So as we're drawing items in, it's auto-correcting as we draw. These things are the redundant tasks that are causing us hundreds of dollars on site and later on that we don't catch. But we could. If we run a script and analysis on the Revit model, then we could very quickly find all the pain points and fix it while we're drafting or while we're modeling. Another example, very quick items like this, where we can take a color range and do density diagrams of entire urban plans, where we can colorize according to height or according to GFA or according to position of cars or what sort of drink I had that day. You never know. You can build your own analysis into it. And then another example here, this is a company, HNTB Architecture in New York. They provided a use of Dynamo that was amazing. This entire bridge that you see here is one flexible family. This is one Revit project controlled entirely by a script. So they put in their values, exactly what they need, and they could do design renditions on the fly by dragging it and bending it and moving it to wherever location. And no matter where they bend it and drag it to, it recalculates all of the struts, the structural members, the thickness of the slab. It calculates all of the concrete and the density that's required, recalculates all the rebar, everything that's needed into it. And that same script can just be readjusted for another bridge project later on. So imagine having to make a change when the architect on that bridge goes to the structure and says, well, we actually want to remove 5 or 6 loops. And the structure's going, well, I got 3 weeks of detailing to get done. Well, it'd be nice if a Dynamo script could do all that for us. Strip it all, recalculate it, put in all the new joints again. I don't need to put in all those supports anymore. They're calculating for me. So this is what you're getting into when you talk about automation. We can't be putting dimensions on certain items hundreds of times throughout a project anymore. We need to gain that time back because newcomers into the BIM world, or even the ones that have been doing it for numbers of years, need to gain back that efficiency somehow, and this is how you can do it. All right, so how can you utilize it? Top 5 uses for Dynamo Studio. BIM management, so you can use it to alter mass amounts of text or parameters. You can use it to alter certain things like door heights globally throughout your project, or code-related items, like certain things that you can manage in your project, like stripping views, stripping things like that, renaming certain sheets. All these things that take a lot of time don't need to take time anymore. Microsoft Excel, data import and export. You can put this together however you want. You can build an Excel spreadsheet with all the parameters that you need from your building bylaws, including setbacks, building heights, GFA requirements, and you can have it generate your grids, make the grids go on a 6x9 structural integrity, have it generate the walls, the columns, the floor types, the areas, even right down to the elevator core, all from one Excel sheet. And somebody who's not even in Revit, who could go into Excel and say, I have a ground floor area of 39,000, I have this and this and this. Revit user comes in and says go on the Dynamo script, and it generates the building. And they can make small adjustments to that Excel sheet, and then the entire building can recalculate and redesign itself. Okay, so external model adoption. So Revit takes advantage of many different models out there, so 3ds Max, Formit, Robot Structural Analysis, Navisworks, there's all kinds. So now Revit is talking to softwares such as SketchUp and Rhino, things that we weren't natively able to talk to. So integration is becoming more spidered out there, and we're able to talk to more things at once. So computational design, I showed you a few examples of how you could do that. You can use the computation to extract and bend the model to your whim. And then construction documentation automation. Wouldn't it be nice if you could just hit a button and have your entire floor plan dimensioned or tagged or certain things adjusted, certain line weights, text, all that stuff, well, why not look into it? Okay, Jasper?
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
No problem.
So at a company like Adamson, we're working with Dennis. We're typically doing very large projects. So these kinds of techniques and things for improving efficiencies are incredibly important to us. So those small changes on a small project magnify when you're doing something on a 90-story tower. So internally at Adamson, what we tried to do when we were presented with this great concept was to identify a group of power users in the office, people with various levels of experience and expertise, and they could give their best ideas. So we created a Dynamo working group inside the office. Now, it didn't come down to whoever knew the most complicated or interesting script. It was about looking at the workflow, the script. Where in the workflow could we utilize a script to best leverage an efficiency? And as a collective, the group was a great forum for us to bounce ideas around with each other and hopefully come up with an elegant solution, and often we did. So when we would come up with a new script, we would instruct a designated member in a group, power users. So we wouldn't let necessarily, this is not a tool for everyone in the office to use. It's a very powerful tool. It can have some unintended consequences. So we would have to check to make sure that this script is vetted. We'd have to go through an auditing process on a detached model, and then we could release it to the wild and then see these great improvements in our workflows. Yeah, so at Adamson, we're always interested, and probably many of you are as well, about improving our workflows. Time and effort and accuracy are all areas that we're constantly trying to improve. So, this is something that our clients demand, and they want things quickly and they want things to be done correctly. If we can identify a repetitive process, then, is there a better way to do this? And we're always doing similar things at similar phases of projects. So there's going to be, for example, model exchange, and it's brought up. We have to share our models with our consultants. And sometimes that sounds easy to do, send us your model. It actually takes more time and effort. It's something that you have to detach the model. It could be a giant model. You have lots of sketch views and things in it that you need to remove manually. On some of the giant projects, this can take time. It takes effort, and you have to go through it manually. Well, we have a Dynamo script that takes minutes. So these little things that take hours, turning hours into minutes, have a cumulative effect on our bottom line, and hopefully we give a better product at the end of the day. We need to be able to identify what those inefficiencies are. So we bring in our power users and we talk to them and find out, are there things that we can actually do to improve the process? Now, oftentimes in a design process, there are things that are out of our control. We don't control everything, but the things that we can change, let's find what those repetitive tasks are and improve them. Ultimately, the script library for us is a great way to have a database where we don't exactly repeat our scripts, but we can actually use them as a library for everyone to use. And eventually what we'll do is we'll put a seminar together in our office and explain to the whole office about how to use Dynamo so everyone sees the potential. If you identify what those things are, you should definitely take a course on Dynamo. Dennis will give you a great course. You should do that. And we hold meetings weekly to just go over the scripts and make sure that everything is running smoothly. These things are just, administrative, but they really help us identify where those things need to be fixed. Talked about the library, and we talked about educating everybody, so yeah. In terms of quality control, so we can look at how, at the end of the day, this is trying to save us time and efficiency, and we're trying to give a better product at the end of the day. We can think about what this means at the bottom line. Does this actually save the firm money and time? It definitely does. And the point is not just to save money, but it's also about quality control. The point about quality control is that we can not really even put a value on this. We can't make mistakes if it comes down to something like areas or things like that. So, even simple scripts that seem like relevant, but they actually chip away at the efficiency that we need to keep achieving. So, going back to the point about areas, if we're doing areas for a tenant, these have huge financial implications. So Dynamo helps us with that. We actually are able to identify errors. We can use Dynamo for quality control. And those things are not things that we can make mistakes with twice or 3 times. We have to do this correctly every time. So that's where we see Dynamo really helping us at our firm. Great.
Yeah. So let's have a little conversation about the simple scripts. So Jasper brought up, simple scripts have a large adverse effect. So they allow us to, spend maybe 2 minutes of our time to 5 minutes of our time to do a lot of work. Here's an example. I could put together, based in 20 seconds, a set of information that can allow me to change the parameters for hundreds of doors at the exact same time. So if I wanted to say refer to interior design on all of my doors, I could go and place that exact text into my instance parameter just by going into Dynamo, saying go, and it inserts that into my schedule in a mass context. I can use Dynamo to actually generate say for instance, a level renaming, or taking every single piece of text in my entire project and making them all uppercase. Because I know that that's come into contact every now and then when drafting. Or taking a sheet. Have you ever tried to duplicate a sheet when it has a view on it? What if I can duplicate the sheet, all the sheets with all the views on it, and then rename them for the next phase of design? So I could take an entire site plan approval set and have that site plan approval set duplicate itself, rename itself, and reposition the actual designations inside the file, just by saying that these are my prefixes and this is where it's going to go. If I have a standard library filled with typical details, I could have that typical details, so the person that's using the Excel sheet can go in and say, from a project management standpoint, I need this wall type, this stair type, this thing, and then we hit go in Dynamo, and it will populate the entire sheet until it reaches the very end. And once it's closed with that sheet, it'll open up a new sheet, rename it, populate it, and keep going. So these tasks takes a long time in a building information model world, even in the CAD world, where we used to use Autolisp. It's no different. This is the new Autolisp. This is Dynamo. So let's take a look at how this comes back to us. It's a lot of talk, but let's take a look at some numbers.
So, we put something up, but just a quick sketch of where we think we've saved hours and time by doing this. The automation alone, so when we're talking about hours down to minutes, or even some things that are actually, especially when it comes down to analytics. We're not always using this for generative design, but we're certainly analyzing many aspects of the building. We're looking at things like automation of repetitive tasks, and that definitely saves time. The most important one, I think we can't really put a price on it, it's QA and QC. So those are things that, where if there are actual errors in the model, we can write a rule so that we know that, for example, a column shouldn't penetrate a slab. And these are things that you can do with a script that can actually go beyond hunting for something in the model, but in fact have a much, much greater impact if they're not picked up on. So the bottom line is really that we actually use Dynamo to fix our models. So this is something that we use on a regular basis.
Perfect. All right. So in conclusion, there's tons of uses for a program such as this. Now everyone's going to ask, okay, well, we're not programmers. We're not people that want to get in there and start typing lines of script. Well, Dynamo is not a scripting platform. It is a visual scripting platform. I've never been a programmer myself, and most of the people who use Dynamo are not programmers at all. All it's doing is taking the common things that we know about Revit, making it available inside of a platform where we can just connect items together. So we can take a series of elements, connect it to a parameter, and tell it to join into something else. Very easy to learn. It takes a problem solver to know how to take it the next step further. But once you start getting into it, you start thinking about how you can expand your world. And the best part about it, Dynamo's free. It comes with Revit. It's actually embedded in the new versions of Revit in your Manage tab. So why not take a second, step back a bit, and establish yourself an efficiency within your company. Make yourselves faster. Get yourselves to the next level, just like Adamson. And you'll find yourself gaining back a return on your investment and making yourself much faster in the world of Revit. Thank you very much, everyone, for paying attention, and food should be just coming up now.